Universal Studios, not just the entertainment capital of Los Angeles, but also, fact fans, the birthplace of World's Strongest Man all the way back in 1977. Well, this year, the annual tussle of muscle is back. For Heat 3, we've already seen 4 of Strongman's A-listers make their way into the finals. Who, though, is going to get top billing from our next cast of characters? Only the very best make it to the World's Strongest Man finals, and Heat 3 contains some of the strongest up-and-coming talents of the sport. One of them, Eddie Hall, is hoping to make amends for an intensely disappointing finish to the 2013 competition. The man from Stoke was so close then to a place in the final before missing out in the Atlas Stones. Now he must face... Eddie will have his work in Southern California with 5 other giants in search of those 2 all-important automatic qualifying spots.
Dimitar Savatinov, Bulgaria. Gregor Shimanski, Poland.
Mike Caruso, United States.
Pritchett, United States.
Lauri Nami, Estonia.
Andy Hall, England.
We start in the traditional fashion. It's the loading race from the Commerce Hotel and Casino, where Colin Bryce and first Martin Hayden bring you the action.
Thank you, James. Our first race is very straightforward. Load 4 items onto a platform. The 2 barrels and the 2 sacks weigh 19 and 19.5 stone, respectively. That makes it a little bit more than just a dash. Dimitar Savatinov is our Bulgarian full-time strongman, comes out of wrestling. Gregor Shimanski from Poland, another man who has dedicated himself to strongman competition, one of the lighter men in this heat. Mike Caruso, Dr. Mike, a PhD in biochemistry, 21 stone. He is in fact the lightest man in this run.
Your position!
So each of these items pretty much your own body weight, but this turns into a real sprint where almost the strength element is secondary. Colin, this is so much about explosive speed.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, who's the best athlete, especially with these 2 barrels? But now, manhandling these massive sacks is really difficult. You can see Caruso struggling there.
Shimanski with a good lead in the green shirt, 31-year-old from Poland, his first World's Strongest Man contest. Real barrel-chested man, he gets the 4th sack up. On the far side, Savatinov is really struggling in the red and blue. Good time, 37.56 for the pole. Mike Caruso in second, 42.
Yeah, Caruso, he's a former hockey player, actually, before he bulked up, and now... a little bit of circus showman stuff here. He really was a circus strongman, and, well, running around with stuff wasn't a part of his act. He's very much a static strength man.
Savatinov coming in just before the minute mark, but only just. Shimanski with the fastest run. Well, that sets the benchmark for everybody else. Shimanski making this look really quite simple.
Reminds me of Pozzonovsky, fast and quick.
From Estonia, Lauri Nami.
Estonia's Lauri Nami, born on New Year's Day.
From the United States of America,
Jerry Pritchett from the US is a metal fabricator for a power company. When the power goes down, I guess he just pedals hard on a treadwheel. And from England, 26-year-old Eddie Hall, Britain's strongest man. Colin, for Eddie, this is the next step towards the big target, isn't it? He's got to set a good time here to really get his confidence up.
Well, if this was last year, I'd say this is a terrible event for Eddie Hall, but we saw in Britain's Strongest Man, he can shift now. He's really worked on his mobility, and he's neck and neck with Nami at the moment.
He turned it around in Britain's Strongest Man to overhaul Terry Hollands and win the contest on this event, which was the very last. We're all struggling with the first of the sacks, though. And so Nami just has the lead. Fastest time, 37.56. He's only got 10 seconds to get inside that, so this is not going to be a quicker heat.
Yeah, what's happened to Pritchett? He really struggled with his sack, and Nami's going to finish it.
37.61, and Eddie Hall 38.92. Well, that puts them second and third, so it wasn't quite as quick as Shimanski, but very pacey indeed. But Jerry Pritchett, the 33-year-old from Phoenix, Arizona, really struggling.
He's been ripping up all season, winning every contest in America. He was perhaps favourite for this group, and goodness, just before the minute.
Yeah. Well, Laurie Nami, second place on the great start for him, and Eddie Hall, third fastest time. That puts him right in.
He's out of puff, isn't he? That was hard work. Only just behind Larry Nami, who in the end was bettered by the jet-propelled Shimanski. So that leaves Eddie Hall in third. And chatting with Cara now.
Okay, but third overall here in your loading race, came quite close alongside Laurie Nami. What was the problem with that first sack?
The first sack, it was just sat a little wrong, and when I tilted it over, all the weight was sort of underneath the sack, so I couldn't really grip a soft spot. A bit hard pick-up than the last sack, so that was the problem with that.
What do you make of your group this year, though? You've got 3 rookies. Fancy your chances of making the final for the first time?
Yeah, I fancy my chances. I mean, there's a few new faces, like that Polish guy. He could be a contender. There's also Jerry Pritchett and Laurie Nami that are, both done well in the past, so quite a tough group, but I think I can get through.
Good, let's hope so. Keep going. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Well, a steady start for Eddie, but what about newcomer Gregor Shimanski? The pole with a blistering time, just pipping Laurie Nami to win in his first World's Strongest Man event. Fear not, though, English fans, because next up is an event that might get things back on track for Eddie Hall. It's the Truck Pull, a World's Strongest Man classic coming up. Welcome back to the Commerce World's Strongest Man from Los Angeles. Time now for the biggest men in strongmen to see who's got the most pull. Here's Cara with the details.
Thanks, James. Yes, it's time for the latest group of athletes to go toe-to-toe with this gigantic truck. All 12 tons of it must be pulled 30 metres in the fastest possible time. Now, this really is one of the classic World's Strongest Man tests. It's been a stalwart of the competition over the last 37 years and has provided plenty of drama in that time.
Trucks, railway wagons, planes, fire trucks, it doesn't lose its appeal, does it? Man versus monstrous weight, in this case 12 tons of prime mover, and you've got to cover a 30-metre course. 60 seconds is the maximum. You'll need to be much faster. Ready to take on the challenge, Gregor Shimanski, our competition leader here. Dimitar Savatinov, 49 seconds for the full distance. Mike Caruso, though, only got 29 metres down the course.
The strain! Ready!
Taking the weight of the truck and moving it, Colin Bryce. That is the first, and to me it always seems to be the actual hardest part of the contest. But then I'm just sitting watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously getting this weight moving down the course. It's fairly flat here, so once it's moving, it's all about accelerating. You see he's got these rock climbing shoes on. That's very clever from Shimanski. Makes it all the stickier on the tarmac.
And it leaves all those black marks. You can see that's how much power is going through these beasts of men. 22.5 stone of strongman. Big hero is Marius Pozzonovsky, unsurprisingly. Big Marius wouldn't have been too disappointed with that pull either. Well, that puts him into the lead, 38.05. Our competition leader sets another marker.
Well, his start was very good, and you can see he was grabbing for the rope, using those massive arms. Didn't slip and miss the rope at all. Very solid pull.
Ladies and gentlemen, from England, Eddie Hall.
So Britain's strongest man lying in third position. Top 2, don't forget, from every one of these 5 heats will go through by rights direct to the World's Strongest Man final. And then the best 2 third-place finishers will also get a wild card entry. So you do not want to end up third and leave it to somebody else's performance to decide your place. Strapped up right arm, Colin, after that first event, but he's using all his upper body power still.
Oh yeah, he's pulling hard on that. It's just a precaution. You can see from here, just a little bit of strapping. Just hurt his biceps a bit, grabbing the sacks earlier. But this is quick. Still 15 seconds to go to beat Shimanski.
Really good run from Eddie Hall. Works as a truck mechanic during the daytime. Let's see if he can get inside the 38.05. Just 6/10 in it. This is insane, pulling a 12-ton truck to that level of tolerance.
Yeah, great stuff there from Eddie. He must have been training it at work because he's barely out of breath. That's surprising because in the past, he'd be flat on his back by now. And once again, just look at this. Good grip, good stride, keeping low. Very good from Hall.
Eddie, 37.46, great time in the truck pull. Laurie's still to go. How do you think you'll get on?
Laurie's a great truck puller, I think, from previous experience, so if I beat him, I know I'm doing well, but I hope he doesn't do well.
For the third place finish in the first event, how important was it for you to really give all in this one?
Very important. Obviously, you've got to put the maximum effort in the first few events, and hopefully as the competition goes on, I could perhaps relax a bit on the last couple, maybe.
Now, many might not know, but your job when you're not being a strongman is being a truck mechanic, right? So you sure know how to pull them too?
No, I can honestly say I've probably done a truck pull about 5 times in my whole life. So I don't get a chance to practice it at work. It's all the health and safety crap that goes on.
No practicing on the job, but good job today. Well done.
Thank you.
From the United States of America.
Well, no engines being used here either. Jerry Pritchett is going to be the motive power for this 6th position. That means that he will effectively have to win the remaining 5 events to get himself a guaranteed spot in the final. And again, using the lower body, using the legs to try to spring forward to break the inertia. Colin, there's all sorts of ways of skinning this particular cat.
Yeah, the 2-footed push at the start is definitely the best way to get it rolling. Sometimes 2 or 3 of those if it's a really heavy object behind you. Now, has it worked? 10 seconds to go to match Eddie, and he's not going to beat Hall, not at this rate.
Well, the hand-over-hand rate isn't half as fast, but it's how fast the feet get down there. 36, 37, he might be second. 38.93, just behind Shimanski by 9/10 of a second. He's in third. Well, this is like a running race. The times are so close, you almost forget that truck.
I thought it was a brilliant start from Pritchett. He kept low, but then didn't quite treat it with full respect at the end. Started to come up, and it cost him.
Please welcome from Estonia,
Horstenius Lori Nami says that his favoured event is Conan's wheel. Anything that involves holding on to a weight, he's not very big on. He doesn't have the strongest grip. Well, he'll need some of that for here, but look at this again, using those legs, those tree trunks to try and get this truck moving. Eddie Hall's time, 37.46. He says he's by no means a truck pull specialist, but that is quick. Lori Nami knows he's up against it here to try and win this heat.
Eddie Hall always plays down just how much he trains. You listen to him, he barely trains at all.
Nami in second place behind Shimanski after the first event. Shimanski in second place now, 38.05. Hall 37.46. Watch the clock on the top of your screens. It's not when Nami crosses the line, it's when the truck breaks the beam. 40.39 puts him in 4th position. Oh, yeah, luckily the driver got his foot on the brake in the truck. I thought it wasn't going to stop there for a moment. That would be irony, to be flattened by the truck whose momentum you've given it.
Well, just 3 seconds in it from 1st to 4th, and Eddie at the front of the pack.
No truck puller? Yeah. Eddie Hall wins our 2nd event.
Well, Hall absolutely motoring there, almost a second faster than his nearest rivals, and looking to be moving through the gears very nicely. Another good result for Gregor Shimanski too, just by almost a second faster than his nearest rivals, and looking to be moving through the gears very nicely. Another good result for Gregor Shimanski too, just behind the Englishman. And it is the Polish contender who now keeps Eddie at bay at the top of the leaderboard. Those two establishing an early lead in Group 3, just 1 point between them, and Lorinami 2 points back, so the Estonian very much still in the mix. The time now for a change of location as the competition moves to the world-famous Paramount Studios for an event that the Englishman has been close to unbeatable at.
Well, the squat is an absolute gym standard, of course, for any weight training, but this has a little twist. That cage, every time you perform a clean squat, gets heavier as one of those barrels drops in. Starts at a mere 280 kilos, 44 stone, and every one of potentially 7 more barrels will add another 2.5 stone to the load. As the muscles cry out for less, the weight becomes more. Let's take a look at how they fared so far. From Poland, Gregor Shimanski, 3 reps in 12.31 seconds. The weightlifter perhaps a little disappointed with that. 5 reps for our Estonian Lorinami, another former weightlifter. That's a good time as well. That may come into play, not for the win though. Mike Caruso gets through the full load of 7 barrels. Epic effort.
From Bulgaria.
So next up, Dimitar Savatinov, tied for 5th place after our first 2 events. And Savatinov will need all of his weightlifting prowess here. A former wrestler, likes the overhead press. And he is built like an absolute bull. Just 5'10", but 23 stone, Colin Bryce, and literally a circus strongman before this.
Absolutely, he toured the world with one of the big circuses, squatting big weights, cars, everything. That was one of his fortes. People out the crowd, and look at this.
Fantastic effort. Barrel number 6 goes in. Oh, he looks like he's got a 7th in him. 7 in 41.49. He's got 10 seconds to get it up and completes it. 33.75. He takes the lead. That is fantastic effort from Dimitar Savatinov.
Look at the strain on his face as well. The first one incredibly quick, and then the last one. I'm not sure there was much more, but he did it. All 7 lifts.
From England, Eddie Hall.
Next up then, Eddie Hall. Well, now, he is 1 point off the lead, held by Shimanski. But Gregor Shimanski only managed 3 barrels. So here is a chance, very strong chance, for Eddie Hall to take the lead of the competition. Second barrel drops in. And Colin, just that 2.5 stone extra clanging in and banging down on your shoulders must be painful enough.
Oh, absolutely. When we first tested this event, we tried it with heavier weights, and yeah, there was a disc or 2 that was put out of place, but this is hopefully the right amount of weight. Now, 355. He's inside. Savatinov's time.
This is looking really strong. 33.75 blown out of the water. 30.53. That is exceptional from Eddie Hall.
That was so light, he shouted. You have to say that last one was really easy. Not at 1 point was he in any kind of trouble here. That could have been his first or his last rep. You just don't know.
Eddie, 7 repetitions in just 30.53 seconds, and at the end you were saying it was light. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably good for a 400 kilo squat, and that really didn't really feel very heavy at all. So
a huge result for you. The heat's not over yet. Do you think your time will stand up?
I know Jerry's a good squatter, so I'm not quite sure, but I hope it does. But good luck to Jerry.
Yeah, just seen you encouraging him as he steps on. Where's the rivalry?
I don't know. I like Jerry, so I wish him well.
Okay, well, let's see how he gets on.
Thank you.
Wish him well, but maybe not too well. But what about this man, the dark horse from Phoenix, Arizona? Let's learn a little more about Jerry Pritchett.
It's my 3rd trip to World's Strongest Man. Last year, had a couple injuries that came to haunt me. This year, with training, healthy, like my chance of getting the final and doing really well in the final. My athleticism is good as anybody in the top 10, top 5. I can hang with them or beat them on deadlift and still run with them on a load medley. That strongman's brutal, day in, day out, training, the competitions, brutal sport. I mean, the only thing you can probably compare it to is bull riders, you know, taking a bad ride and get back on, or a race car driver taking a bad flip and getting back in it. That's what separates the 30 of us that are here, the people that'll never make it here.
Well, Jerry Pritchett entered his first local strongman level contest in 2008. And here in LA, he won the strongman contest at Fit Expo last year. So coming back to the scene of one of his biggest triumphs, that's got to just give him that little feel-good feeling.
Yeah, and a fact about Jerry as well is he's a former junior world champion at powerlifting, and this is bread and butter for powerlifters, the squat. You can see his technique, very wide with his feet, just allows his hips to get in and get him up quicker. 2 to go.
In goes barrel number 6. Eddie Hall's time 30.5. So he was there with 6. He has 7, 33.59. 0.2 of a second quicker than Savatinov for second spot. That is very, very close indeed, but he has been comfortably beaten by Eddie Hall, who wins event number 3.
So, in a high-quality group with 4 men achieving all 7 reps, Eddie Hall's phenomenal display of static strength confirms him as one of the world's best squatters. The Englishman then in firm control of Group 3 at the halfway stage, much as he was last year, of course. A disappointing display, meanwhile, in the squat means Shimanski loses ground, while Pritchett and Nami are beginning to make their moves. You know, there's one thing that Hollywood's full of. It's 2 things that Hollywood's full of. One of them is big men seeking redemption. Britain's Eddie Hall is one such figure. Last year, you remember, in Sanya, China, he absolutely tore through his heat, and then just missed out on a place in the final at the death because of these things, the Atlas stones. Well, guess what? This year, once again, Eddie's nemesis is waiting for him at the end of Heat 3. But before we get there, there's a long way to go, with next up the super yoke and the overhead lifts. Welcome back to World's Strongest Man. If you're just joining us, it's Britain's Eddie Hall looking to book a place in the final for the first time ever. Things didn't start well for the Englishman, Eddie only managing 3rd in the loading race, Poland's Gregor Shimanski with the win. In the truck pull, Shimanski did well again, taking 2nd, but it was Eddie, himself a truck mechanic, who showed the best pulling power. And Eddie took maximum points in the next event too. 4 men making all 7 barrels in the squat lift, Eddie with the fastest time. So, with 3 events to go, there's a mighty 4-point lead for the man from Stoke. He might well need all of that, though, and more, because up next at the Commerce Hotel, it's an event that's not been one of Eddie's favourites.
Well, the super yoke is all about speed and weight, of course. 25 metres for the course. Maximum time allowed is 60 seconds. You're going to have to be close to half of that to stand a chance of winning this event. 455 kilos, those 2 Earth Mover tyres on the side of the bar. 71.5 stone. Not only are you carrying more than your own body weight, you're also carrying more than the body weight of the man alongside you. This is an absolutely mammoth weight to move.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from
Bulgaria, and you need a mammoth weight mover. Dimitar Savatinov of Bulgaria is exactly that.
From the United States of America,
Mike Caruso, currently investigating the molecular mechanisms of type 2 diabetes. Working hard to try and help strugglers of diabetes the world over. Well, a lot of these strongmen say that when they finish their careers, they'd like to go on to train other athletes. Neither of these two do. Mike wants to continue being a scientist. Savatinov, he wants to be a corgi. Yes, you heard that right, a corgi trainer. He has 2 corgis at home, Tank and Ali. But this is a very close heat.
Well, it was until then. The Bulgarian's gone down and Caruso takes it.
Well, Caruso across the line, the Bulgarian sliding. You are strictly supposed to carry it. He might be in trouble with the judges for that. No problems with Mike Caruso, though. 20.4.
Well, the judges just ruling there that they thought it would be too heavy to even try and drag. So Savatinov being let off there, but that's one to look at in the future. Savatinov, just the strain got to him. Maybe those squats before just tired his legs out, and Caruso grabbed the lead.
Yep. Everybody dips for the line, but dipping halfway along is a little bit of gamesmanship. Lorinami from Estonia. 147 kilos of him, 455 kilos to carry. And Eddie Hall, well, he is just about to take charge of this contest. He's had 2 wins so far.
Ready?
Colin, he came out all guns blazing, Eddie Hall, in the first couple of events, but he's got to keep that pressure up on his rivals or it could all vanish.
Well, he's starting quite slowly here, quite precise in his steps. Nami's got a bit of a lead on him. Can Eddie just get some confidence up here and start to move? We know he's got the leg power. Here you go.
Look at this. This is like a slow-motion horse race. Hall is coming and Nami is tiring and he's meandering around the course. And 28 and change and 30.24. Not as quick as Caruso. 28.06 puts him in 3rd place. Maybe he should have started sliding a little earlier, Eddie Hall. Lorinami, 30.24. So even half the time allocated is not close to being competitive.
Well, it was a slow and steady run from Hawley. He's had problems with this event in the past, and he just wanted to get decent points. Maybe not go for the win.
United States of America,
So who is going to take the win? At the moment, it'll be an American.
representing
Will it be Mike Caruso? Might it be Jerry Pritchett? What about Gregor Shimanski as well? Winner of our first event on this ground, the race. And he has been a contender in the other 2 as well. If Shimanski can pull out a fast time here, he could really give Eddie Hall a run for his money. But it looks as though Jerry Pritchett might be coming up on the rails. He is the man who his friends call the dark horse.
And he's also the man who started really badly in this heat, and he's just getting better and better with every event. I think it was a confidence problem in the loading, because this looks great.
Really good run, really good run. And Shimanski, 24.3. That's quicker than Eddie Hall as well, quicker than Savatinov. So he is in 3rd place, but it is very tight indeed. Victory goes to
from the United States
Jerry Pritchett. It is a US 1-2. Mike Caruso edged out by 0.2 of a second.
Looks like a different man has turned up for the last couple of events from the nervous wreck at the start line of the loading. Brilliant stuff from Pritchett, holding it together.
Jerry, well, with a time of 20.21, you stormed to the lead here in the Super Yoke. How important was it for you to get a win?
Oh, it was huge. I had to get back in. Started out slow with that loading race, pushed with the back, so had to make up the ground.
You've been picking it up, 3rd in the truck pull, 2nd in the squat lift. It's quite a tight group. What are your thoughts ahead of the final events going into the final?
Just got to be on mark on everything. We have a very good group. It's going to be very tight on log, probably on stones as well, so it's got to be on mark on everything.
It's an American 1-2 in the Super Yoke. Hats off to Mike Caruso, the debutant, putting in a tremendous display and missing out on victory by just 0.2 of a second. But it's Pritchett who takes the plaudits, with Hall all the way down in 5th, which cuts the Englishman's lead overall in half. Shimanski and Pritchett both now have Eddie in their sights. With 2 events to go, the man from Stoke might be feeling the pressure, especially after last year.
World's Strongest Man was a bit of a disappointment for me. I obviously had my heart set on making the top 10. I came into the Worlds very strong. You know, I wasn't the only one, but I sort of got very ill throughout the competition. I'm just not used to the climate and the food and everything, and excess sweating and stuff. So, you know, that was a pretty tough and a downer on my career, pretty much, and it's something I'll look back on and regret. But you know, it's probably learnt me a good experience. I know to take a lot of medications and electrolytes and stuff like that to replenish my sweat, and so it's all a learning curve. Experience is everything. To win that World's Strongest Man title, you need to have done everything 100 times. You need to have practiced it 100 times. You need to have competed it 100 times. I mean, it's just getting those fine lines, those fine tweaks, watching the other guys, picking up tips. There's no way a guy first time round is going to win World's Strongest Man. It doesn't matter how strong they are. There's definitely a lot of techniques, and you can only gain those sort of techniques with experience. If I were to make it into the final and sort of beat someone like Sadrunas or Brian Shaw on an event, and you know, for the announcer to say the strongest strongest legs in the world or the strongest shoulders in the world. That's just sort of a title that no one can take away from you, because on that moment, on that day, you will have the strongest legs, the strongest shoulders. I mean, Thor, for instance, is renowned for being amazingly fast. You know, he's known for King of the Stones as well. And that's just a title that would just be great to have, you know, T-shirts with King of the Stones and your face on it. It's brilliant, so it just means a lot to us guys. I think every single strongman has got sort of a 3-year or a 5-year plan. My 5-year plan was to win the World's Strongest Man within 5 years. So, you know, I've done 2 now, I didn't make the final. The 3rd one, hopefully I will make the final. You know, the sort of 2 years after that, I want to sort of build up the ranks, make the podium, and hopefully by the 5th year, you know, I'm on that 1st place spot.
Next up for Eddie and the gang, it's the overhead lift from another Hollywood landmark, Universal Studios.
The lift couldn't be more straightforward in terms of rules. Lift the log over your head, look out the elbows as many times as you can in a minute. 150 kilos, that's 23 stone. That's what Eddie Hall weighs. Well, Estonia's Lauri Nami came up quite shy of what he'd hoped to be a good mark. Just 1 clean rep. And that might hurt his overall standing. Dimitar Savatinov of Bulgaria, though, very competitive, 5 reps, liking that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the United States.
That brings us then to the All-American battle. Jerry Pritchett, who's tied in 2nd place with Gregor Shimanski and Mike Caruso. Caruso is just 6 points off the lead and 4 out of joint 2nd place. Top 2 at the end of this heat go through by rights to the final.
Go down.
Well, both men finding the 1st rep pretty easy. Caruso on the right-hand side. So strong. He's done over 440 pounds overhead, 200 kilograms. So he's got one of the biggest maximums in the entire contest.
Well, his junior sporting career was all about speed, lacrosse, running track, played racquetball and golf.
Down.
And how does that translate into overhead strength? Nicknamed the Crusher.
You hear the referee there shouting feet to Caruso. He's got to bring his feet in line. He did it there, that's good. Before, though, he had split feet. 15 seconds to go.
Down!
Well, if they want to get another rep or 2 in, they know how little time remains. Caruso gets the 6th. Can he get to 7? That's a big mark. Time is going to be against him. It's not about fatigue. You've got to get them inside the 60 seconds. So it is 5 reps for Jerry Pritchett. Same as Savatinov, but taking the lead with 6 is Mike Caruso. We have seen 7 in a minute, very occasionally 8, but that is a very strong effort from Mike Caruso.
Yeah, 6 reps in a minute, that's 1 every 10 seconds. You need a bit of balance at that point before you can thrust again. So much shoulder power, though, from Caruso.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
now
from
Eddie Hall. Big set of shoulders on the Englishman as well. What can our man from Stoke-on-Trent produce? He's up against Gregor Shimanski. Shimanski started so strongly, winning the 1st event, but now he is trailing Eddie Hall in the points. Shimanski is still a beast. Eddie Hall will be spurred on by having that alongside him, perhaps.
Yeah, Shimanski's no joke to go head-to-head with Eddie Hall. No legs at all. Just all upper body power. Brilliant. Look at this.
How can he do that? He just rolls that off his chest and pushes it up like it's weighing 15 kilos, not 150.
Yeah, he's got the British record in log, and he did the same thing with 200 kilograms. He's quite unique, Eddie.
And rolls it back down as well. Shimanski missing the mat when he dropped it the last time, and he is staggering. I think the events are taking their toll on the pole. Eddie Hall is still looking strong. 5 ties Savatinov from Pritchett. Getting close to the time limits. I think Shimanski is now out of energy, but Hall has got to 6. Can he get a 7th in before we run out of time?
Shimanski wasn't given that 5th one, and oh, we are out of time.
A minute seems like a lifetime, I'm sure, but not quite enough time. Shimanski only gets 4 clean. Eddie Hall ties the leader with 6. Another strong event.
You just wonder if Eddie actually used his legs in the press, whether he'd be quicker. Let's see how fast this is. It's fairly slow, but still very strong.
Eddie, 6 repetitions in the overhead lift, 23.5 points, almost enough to make it to the final. What's your plan going into the stones?
I want to go out in the stones, obviously get a good practice run for the final. So I just want to see how that pans out, really get a feel for them.
You made it look easy out here. How was it, the overhead lift?
It was harder than I thought, actually. I actually did the same weight at the Britons a week ago, and I did 6 reps with like nearly 20 seconds left, so that was maybe a bit fatigued from that, but that was a bit harder.
Well, fingers crossed we'll see you in the final. What would it mean, third time around, to make your first final?
Well, I think Srdjunas Savickas didn't make it the first 2 times. He got lucky the third, so maybe this is a sign.
Maybe this is the new Big Z.
Possibly, yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All on top of the world here in California, with Mike Caruso really impressing on his debut, the top 2 sharing the spoils there with 6 reps apiece, Savatinov and Pritchett just behind. And that result re-establishes Hall's 4-point lead in the heat. He looks favoured to progress to the final, but will memories of 2013 haunt him? Behind Eddie, just 2 points separating contenders in the race for second. Well, here at Universal Studios, rarely have they seen such drama. Another big performance there from Eddie Hall, but the Atlas Stones still await. They're coming up in the final event of Heat 3 after the break. Welcome back. We're at Universal Studios, and it's time for the most famous strongman test of all, the Atlas Stones. 5 stones of increasing weight, 5 podiums of decreasing height, 60 seconds to put one on top of the other, and 2 places in the final up for grabs. Let's get the ball rolling with Colin Bryce and first Martin Haven.
Thank you, James. Well, the Atlas Stones has often been a deciding factor, and so it is for Gregor Shimanski. In third place coming in here, but only 3 stones, and that raises a massive question mark whether he'll make it into the final or not. Laurie Nami, 5 stones, 40 seconds, but not enough points on his board to make it through.
Please welcome from England.
Well, this may well turn out to be the toughest group of athletes to qualify for the final from. Eddie Hall leads and is pretty much safe. Dimitar Savatinov may not be making it through to the finals. Well, Eddie Hall on 23.5 points, Pritchett, Shimanski, Caruso. That is the battle for the runner-up spot, and Shimanski might already be just a bit shy of where he needs to be. In the pale blue t-shirt, Eddie Hall, but goodness me, you can see again that Savatinov is going at it like a bull in a china shop. He's just gone off like a startled rabbit.
Well, he has to, but of course he's a little bit shorter than some of the other athletes. Those first 2 plinths were tricky. Eddie, on the other hand, slow and steady, but it's still good for him to get practice in, because he'll be doing this in the final.
And of course, he wants to practice all 5, but he wants to save his strength for the final. So that he caught between 2 stools there. He is really taking his time. Savatinov dropped number 4. And as you say, the plinths are less high, but they are still very much at shoulder height for him. Savatinov is going for number 5. Eddie Hall appears to be going for a tea break. Is he even going to trouble with more than 3? He might not need to.
Yeah, I guess why bother? I mean, it's not exactly easy, is it? It just beats him up a little bit more, so takes the professional attitude and just does 3 stones.
Preserve the body, but the moment is there. He has qualified for the World's Strongest Man final, and Dimitar Savatinov lies second in the contest at the moment.
Yeah, he did well, Savatinov, but Eddie Hall, little laboured there in the end, but he saves his energy for the final, because he's into the final for the first time. Well done, Eddie.
Eddie Hall into the final of World's Strongest Man for the first ever time. How pleased are you?
Yeah, I'm very pleased, thank you.
And in the stones here, you did a few and then you stopped. Having your bicep iced at the moment, is that why?
Yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to go all out on the event for a bit of practice for the final, but talking with the physio guys beforehand, my bicep was a bit dodgy. Did the first 3 stones and I was feeling it tweaking, so I thought it's best to leave it. You know, I'm through anyway.
Missed out on the final in very cruel fashion last year. Is this redemption?
This is definitely redemption. Last year was, God, I was flying home with a tear in my eye last year, so this is definitely a redemption for me, yeah.
So pleased to see you through. Well done.
Thank you.
Just the hint of a tear in his eye there, but for an entirely different reason as he books his place in the final. And this final event is going to decide who goes with him, and it is an all-American affair. Jerry Pritchett versus Mike Caruso. Caruso, trailing by 2 points, must beat Pritchett on this event comfortably to go through. So there's a lot riding on this. Immediately, Pritchett using his height. And Caruso is struggling, only 6'1". He's really struggling to get up there.
Yeah, and he was stuck to that first stone, just putting him off a little bit. So much tacky on his T-shirt. Pritchett, big lead here, but he fumbles.
Oh, nearly drops it on his toes. He gets stone number 4 on, and it is all over surely. Pritchett was in front here in the group of death. Mike Caruso had to beat him. Pritchett gets stone number 5 on 32.99 seconds. And all the wind has gone out of Mike Caruso's sails, but he is a strong man. He will not give up. He will go until there is no more hope. And that's where it ends. But what a remarkable performance from Jerry Pritchett. Last after the first event, he wins the Atlas Stones and takes the lead away from Eddie Hall. He tops this group of death, and Mike Caruso will not go through to the finals.
Well, Jerry Pritchett into his first final. Looks really good at the end, but my goodness, was he poor at the start. Let's hope he gets better and better through the final.
Jerry, you've come from behind. You have won your group to make it the World's Strongest Man final for the first time ever. How much does that mean?
Oh, it was huge. It was the goal coming here. Bad start. We had a battle back, but we got back in. So huge accomplishment. Couldn't do it without my family, the support. You know, that's been the goal. Them pushing me behind me. So it's not only for me, but for them. Huge accomplishment.
Is this what it took to get rid of the sunglasses?
Yeah, finally get dark enough, yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, Jerry Pritchett more than shades it then. A perfect 5 for the American means he is king of the stones in Group 3. Well done to Lauri Nämi, the Estonian bravely putting up all 5 despite an injury. Eddie Hall in last place, but that won't bother him, for despite not winning the group, he clinches the second qualifying place and will hopefully have saved some energy for the final. It's Jerry Pritchett who takes top spot, debutant Mike Caruso in 3rd. Well done then to Eddie Hall. Now we could be seeing one of the strongest English lineups in years in the final, because our next heat features 2 more Englishmen, Lawrence Charlet and Mark Felix. They, though, will be up against one of the toughest competitors of all, Big Z, Zydrunas Savickas. Must-see strongman showdown next time up then on World's Strongest Man. See you then.